just because we usually are pretty consistent like every week. Yeah. But I had too much on my plate. And
sometimes we all gotta take a little break, a little breather.
Yes, we do, which is part of the healing journey.
Absolutely. And knowing when to take the break, that's that part. Like,
and it's the hardest part. It's one of the hardest parts is knowing when to take that break and telling yourself that it's actually okay to have the break. I'm like really hard on myself about that. So I'd be like, oh my God, if I take this break, it breaks up the consistency. You got to always be consistent. And then I just be tired because I'm always trying to be on top of everything. So that's something I'm practicing is to take my healing space because I can't help nobody else if I'm not in that space. I can't pour from the empty cup. So
speak on it.
Certainly refining and also perfecting that art of self-care because that is exactly what it is.
Girl, you don't even understand. Like, it shouldn't be as hard as it is. It should not be as hard as society builds your mind and makes it to just love on yourself. To be like, no, I'm going to choose me today. No, I'm going to take a break. No, I'm going to sit down.
It's as mothers and Black women, like,
right,
we're very, very, very hard on ourselves about that. I know I'm like super hard to a fault on myself about that and just really taking my time and for me, because if I don't, I really can't pour from an empty cup. Like, we have to have something to pour into. So I'm glad to be here this week. We're going to have a shorter show today. So for about an hour, because, I got to get back to it. Got to get back to the things. And so, very important conversation and just talking about the healing journey, because something that I run into a lot with people when they're talking about their healing process is this idea like the healing journey is a quick fix, that you're supposed to just go to therapy, start doing the work and feel better. And when you go to therapy, it's supposed to feel good all the time, or that you're going to come out feeling so relieved and so, so much happier. You're going to come out to the rainbows and butterflies. And no, that's not. It gets gritty. It gets ugly, and it's a daily process. Healing is every single day, every day at a time. It doesn't ever stop. You're constantly working on your healing journey. It is a long haul. It is not for the short run. So we're going to talk about it.
Not for the faint of heart. I feel like if you aren't, first of all, let's start. I'm going to backtrack for just a second. Every day of your life, you should be actively working towards your healing. And every day of your life, you will be actively working towards your healing because it's never over. So for like, anyone who ever believed that it's a quick fix, that's a no. And it's like, I know everybody don't get massages, but Sante, do you get massages?
Girl, of course I do. And I'm mad that I haven't.
That's a form of self-care and healing as well. First of all, my melanated people or anyone else who believe that that's for white folks or that, that's a luxury. No, it is health. It is literally health. A massage isn't just, I'm going to relax. That's a part of it, but it is literally your health. Because the way life is set up, with all the stressors and tension, your body would be like knotted up and you wondering why you feeling the way you are mentally, spiritually, and everything else. That's the part of healing and physical health as well. So I just wanted to state that so ain't nobody confused on it. But back to my point.
Back to your point, sis. Come back to it.
I gotta come back because people be sleep on massages. Okay, people.
And there's different types of massages that I think people don't understand too, and they all serve a different purpose. So I like reflexology massages. I was just telling Robert, like, I need to go get me one. It's been a while. It helps with blood circulation, blood flow. Like sometimes when, like for me, I don't know about everybody else, but when I'm highly stressed, my shoulders, all my muscles are tight. I wake up in the morning like I got into a fight, and now all it is just stress,
I just left my massage therapist on Saturday. Shout out to Ia. If y'all heard of Space Inglewood, that's her space. Y'all go holler at Ia. Amazing prices, amazing work. Dope, right? So, but when she got done, I walked out the room and she looked at me dead in my face and she was like, "Were you just in a fight?" And I was like,
girl.
no. And I typically go like once a month. And I had missed a month because like I missed 2 months actually because August was stupid busy. And then I went out of town and July got away from me. So I hadn't got a massage since June. So I guess she felt all of the everything of the business and
girl,
everything.
and so did your body. Your body was
and so did my body. I know because I've been doing some type of way around here. Okay. She literally looked at me and was like, "Did you get into a fight?" I was like, no.
Be tense. It's all knots. Like you literally get knots in your body. And so that is part of the healing process too. And we don't think about that as part of that journey. And it really
understanding you deserve it. It's not just a luxury, frivolous thing. It's a part of your health and your relaxation. Even if it was just for relaxation purposes only, which is not. But even if it was, you deserve that too.
And not only that you deserve it, most of why we don't allow ourselves to even think about those things are stigmas, is that we've been told that it's not for us. And at this point, where we are in life, we need to be taking advantage of every single healing avenue we could possibly have. Like we have to be taking care of ourselves to the max because the world is a stressful place. The more I try to tell myself to be cool and deep breathe. And, I done tried some yoga and some meditation. It helps. The woosah helps, but then sometimes you're still stressed and that's normal. Yeah. There's too much going on in the world. So
this was my point because I started talking about massages a little more than I just wanted to use massage as a reference point, but it fits into the conversation because it is healing and you deserve it and your body does and you'll feel the difference. But what I was saying was therapy is kind of like a massage. For people who get massages, you get the massage. Sometimes, you get up and you float, right? You like, oh, your body loose. You work out the kinks. You glide through the day. Hey, how you doing? Yes, everything is right. But you might go home and some stuff might happen, or you might wake up the next day because you slept or whatever. It's not going to feel like you just left that massage until you go get the next massage. So sometimes I've heard people say like, oh, I've gone to therapy, but I don't know if it's working because right after I talk to the therapist, like a day or two later, I go back to feeling the same way. That's the journey. That's the journey. After you leave the massage therapist, you're not going to feel like you won't have it for a month or 2 weeks or however many times you see the massage therapist. It's the same for your therapist. You gonna leave and life stress is gonna happen, kids, partners, job, everything else is gonna be there, and the feelings that you were feeling before you went to the therapist, some of them might come back up until you go see that therapist again. But the thing is, it's an ongoing journey, so you can't think it's going to be quick. I'm gonna go to a therapist a couple times and be magically healed from whatever has been ailing you or hindering you for 30 plus or however many years.
Sis, you should be going nonstop. So once you start, you should not stop. If you're going to therapy, whether you reduce how often you're going to therapy, because also therapy is about coping behavior and changing it. Because what we realize when we start going through the healing journey is that most often we are not coping at all. We're just kind of ignoring, we're sweeping under the rug, we're pushing it down, and then next thing you look up and you bottled over, you feeling like you just boggled down. And so healing is an every single day event. Like it does not change. You may talk about some stuff and it may, make you feel worse than you did when you went in there, because part of the healing process is to dig deep and understand why your behavior is the way it is. Like your favorite thing, the but why?
But why? But why?
You only understand that but why if you're working on it. So I posted a question earlier this week or was it last week, about what are you healing from? Because I think sometimes people don't even realize or are honest with themselves about needing to heal and what they're healing from. And so I said, you know what, for a change, I'm going to put myself out here and say what things that I am struggling with, and that is a day-to-day fight for me, and that I'm healing from on a day-to-day basis. And so my two things, my two monsters, my two struggles that I have to battle each and every day are my self-saboteur and my imposter syndrome. And my imposter syndrome is like I can beat the self-saboteur sometimes. Like I can say, okay, not you today. And I'm gonna go ahead and do what it is that I need to do. But that imposter syndrome.
Elaborate on the imposter syndrome, sis.
So when you have imposter syndrome, typically what you're saying is that you don't think that you're as great as other people may think. So you think that what has happened is somehow you fooled all these people into thinking that you're a whole lot more special than you actually are, that you're a whole lot bigger deal than you actually are. So you're always constantly picking yourself apart. You're never really allowing yourself to feel accomplished or feel like you're doing anything. You always just still wrestle with that. Okay, yeah, you telling me that I'm all of these great things, but I think I just fooled you, and it's not really like that. So it's not like you're doing it intentional. It's just you don't see yourself the same way that people tell you all the time. So I struggle with that a lot. Like when someone says, you did a great job, I'm like, oh, well, thank you. I may say thank you. And then sometimes I'm thinking to myself, like, they have no
idea. This happened and this happened and this happened. You ain't see this and this and it.
You have no idea. But I can't tell you that. I can't show you that I feel like that. I have to present well all the time because you want to seem confident. When you're not confident, it's not good for you. People tend to run over you. They don't believe you. So you learn to fake it until you make it, kind of with your confidence level. And that is something that I definitely deal with. So a lot of people think I'm way more confident and outgoing than I actually am.
I think a lot of people suffer with both of those things. I don't think you're alone in either one of those boats. And I feel like it's because going back to society and a lot of our upbringings, we are a lot of the times aren't told how many things that we can do, how amazing we are, how brilliant we are, all of the things that we can accomplish if we put our minds to just, like some people grow up in those environments where they're like, you're amazing, you can do anything. And they grow up like, you know what, I'm going to try it, I'm going to do it, I'm a boss, But most people, that's not the environment that they come from. So they're not taught on a daily basis or reaffirm that they can do anything, that they're amazing, that they're great, that anything they touch turns to gold, and that could also be a deep downfall too if you get too much of that. So it got to be a proper balance. But when you don't hear that growing up, when you don't see that growing up, you grow up feeling like, can I really do this?
And believe it or not, imposter syndrome isn't about someone not telling you those things or hearing those things. Sometimes it's just not being where you want to be at, not being where you think you should be at. Like if you have a goal or if you have something that you're trying to do, sometimes it's your own standards and it's not necessarily the standards of others. So I grew up hearing, that you can do these things, but I also grew up in a shadow of an older sibling who everyone thought was perfect and, was just incredible. So I always felt like I needed to measure up to him. And no matter what it was that I did, I still didn't feel like I was him. And I held him up on that pedestal as well because I admired him so much and he's my big brother and looked up to him. So I held him up on that pedestal as well. But I think my imposter syndrome comes more so from, a big part of it is not being the person that I thought I would be at this age. I envisioned my life being completely different. And although I love my life, so that's in no way saying like I don't like my life. It's just the complete opposite of where I thought I would be at 38 or what I thought I should be at 38. So I embrace it, love it, run for it. But because I had this vision of where I should be, it's always in the back of my mind that I'm not who I'm supposed to be. So when people are saying you're doing a great job and you're doing all these things, and it'd be like, you have no idea. Okay, thank you. Like, thank you. You smile and you keep going. But it truly is it's a really hard thing to battle because you're actually your worst critic. Like you're hard on yourself than the world can be at times. And so that imposter syndrome is very complicated to get over. It's so hard to get past. So I got some comments here. It's a spirit of fear. Sometimes but I do that shit scared. I will admit that. I do a lot of stuff scared, even though
Yes, you better do it scared, sis.
I do it scared. Sis, I had to go and read in public for the first time. Okay, this poem had been in the Chicago Reader already. And I was terrified. Okay, like when I tell you terrified, girl, I'm sweating. I'm shaking inside, trembling. Okay. And people were like, I can tell you nervous, but they didn't know just how nervous I was. Like, I felt like I was going to throw up.
Surface level of nervous.
I thought I was going to throw up all over this stage. I'm like, I'm going to start hurling everywhere. I'm scared of people away. This is going to be bad. This is going to be so bad. And I do presentations all day and I never get that nervous, but it's, what Erykah Badu say, like, I'm an artist and I'm
sensitive about my shit. I've been thinking that the whole time you've been talking.
And you really feel like that. Like sharing your artwork requires a certain sense of vulnerability that I'm still getting comfortable with. I haven't quite learned the craft of not just sharing the work, but being the work, putting that art into motion. So I'm trying to perfect that performance quality. But girl, when I tell you, I was up on that stage trembling, okay? And my girl Nikki was like, I'm gonna need you to breathe in through your nose.
Come on.
Breathe out through your mouth. Come on, you got
this. Okay.
Got up there, I stumbled a little bit, but I got through it. So I've learned to fight my self-saboteur a lot better than I've learned to fight the imposter syndrome. I'm still trying to figure that one out. So even though most people, like when I tell people certain things about me, they're like, no, girl, why are you lying? She probably saying that for sympathy and everything. No, seriously, I be in here like picking myself apart, just like I need to do this better. I'm not doing enough, but I'm tired, so I gotta figure it out. I think
that has a lot to do with expectations. And when we set expectations, this go back to one of my favorite books. Y'all know my favorite book, right?
Four Agreements.
The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements. All right, y'all better pick that book up. All right, or go listen to it on the YouTube for free.
I have it on. I bought it for audiobook. I just haven't started listening to it yet. So
yeah, I mean, it's like 20 minutes. It's less than a TV show. It's like 20 minutes, and like I think this is why, like talking about healing, I had to sit up a little bit because you know how it gets. Okay, talking about healing for real and teaching these skills to our babies and reteaching and training ourselves is so important because it does not have to be. I started off talking about how hard self-care is and is, but it doesn't have to be this hard if we start off with the right toolkit. And like the Four Agreements is one of those things. And I talked about it before. Like I went through a rites of passage program, and a lot of the things that I was learning, yes, I was like internalizing it, but all of it, I was like, oh, I'm making sure that I don't do this to my son, or I'm making sure he gets this information. He 3, so I'm like, if I start this right now, okay, he got a better fighting chance out here. Right. And so I'm incorporating all these things, and I'm thinking about how I can best incorporate them for him or not do the things that are hindering to him so that he won't have to heal from it later. Right. And so I think about that often. Ain't nobody perfect. I ain't never saying I'm perfect mom out here. My child ain't gonna have to heal for me. I get frustrated. Ain't nobody saying none of that.
Right.
Don't you take that and spin that. No way. I'm telling you the truth. Okay. I am human. Okay. The irritation comes through. Okay. And then we talk about it later. Like, all right, mama, sorry. I might have jumped a little quick on you, son. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna fix it later. But life happens. Okay. But the thing is, if we have these tools, that we can instill in our children, we can literally create a better world. Because most of the trauma is because somebody was traumatized. Trauma begets trauma. So if we take away a lot more, because it ain't gonna never all be gone, because life is a thing. If we take away more of that trauma and we give people the tools they need from a very early age to deal with that trauma, because we know it's going to happen, then we will have a more successful chance at making healing normalized, making it in a structure where people can not only do it and use the tools to actively heal, but pass it on to their children as well. And so the 4 agreements is a really simple, that's why I always bring it up, because it's super simple, but it's super intricate at the same time. Like the actual agreements like are simple, but the implementation, especially as an adult, after living as many years as you've lived without implementing these things, that's the intricate part of weaving it in and making sure that you're adopting that type of lifestyle. But at the end of the day, when you read the words, you're like, that's super simple. Then you start trying to do it and you like, all right, maybe
if it was that simple, we'd be much further along
right.
in the
No,
process.
maybe it's not that simple, because it's our mind.
It's
our
something
mind.
We've had for generations. So a lot of trauma is generational, which is
Conditioning.
we don't talk. It's generational trauma and generational curses, and they are passed down from us. Some of us from long lines of brokenness. And I was talking with Robert just yesterday about experiences with me that I was like, I had to realize, which was one of the most important things in me preparing myself to be married. So when we talk about marriage, we talk a lot about the preparation part for men, but us women need to go through a preparation process too of in marriage.
Parties.
And so I had to do some real preparation to be marriageable, to be even in a marriage where it was going to be sustainable and that we were going to actually progress. And some of that was unlearning trauma that did not belong to me. And I didn't realize how much it wasn't mine. I was like, now I've never really had these issues that,
that vicarious trauma.
I've never, it was very, because it was what I had heard, from women in my life, this narrative about men and what it means to be, a woman. And so now as a mother of a daughter, it's super important that I'm constantly doing the work on myself, because I don't want to pass my trauma down to her. I don't want her to take this idea that it's not even her experience. And so when she brings up something that she's watched me go through or something that she's concerned about will be her reality as an adult woman, I always tell her, baby, that doesn't have to be your experience. It may not be your experience. You cannot measure what I've gone through is what you have to look forward and what you will go through. I don't want you to walk into anything expecting to walk in my shoes. You are not going to relive my life. You are not going to relive my steps. The only thing that my footprints do is pave a way for you to make your own choices and to figure out your own direction. But it doesn't mean that you have to follow the directions I went into. My life is not yours. And that's something that I didn't hear growing up. And something I don't hear very often. It's like, as a Black woman, all our experiences have to be the same. They're synonymous, and they're not. And so,
I mean, there's similarities in all of us, but it's not the same. And I love that you're actively telling your daughter that, because a lot of times as parents, we think we're doing our children a service when we're really doing them a disservice by teaching them to be afraid of certain things, to teach them, caution. Yes, be cautious of things, think critically, watch your surroundings, those things. Yes, but like teaching them fear. I don't want to teach my son fear. Like I believe it was on here when somebody told a story about how they were afraid of water, or I don't remember. It might have, I feel like it was here though, in one of the conversations we had with some guests, that they were wondering why they were afraid of water when they never had a bad experience with water. And then come to find out, like, before they were born, the mother's sister almost drowned once, and then ever since then it's just been in the family, like, you don't go near that water, or don't blah, and then now all of the children, including the parents of those children, are afraid of water, and they're passing that down to their children because that's what they know, that's what they've been taught for generations, because that great aunt one time or that auntie back in the day almost drowned one time, and now you got generations of children that are afraid of water and have no idea why.
No,
but until you go to therapy or really start reflecting on your life and dive it in, you have no idea why you're afraid of water. You're just like, yeah, it's just what I am. I just don't do water. Why?
It's so much of what we feel and think, we don't realize just how much was passed down to us or we inherited and not even had the experiences ourselves. And when you hear it so much, you start to believe almost that it is your experience, but it wasn't. It never was something that you went through, which is why, just as you were saying that you think we do a disservice in making our children fear certain things, I think sometimes we overshare. I think that sometimes we do too much sharing about our experiences to a point where it almost seems as though we're saying, like, this will be your reality too, or you're going to go through this. I feel like there's a way to talk about the possibilities without kind of like pushing that on there, that this is your reality too. Like, this is going to happen to you and you have to be aware of it. So,
and I think it also has to be very much so age appropriate.
Very much.
I also feel like sharing experiences and talking to your children is a beautiful thing. It's humanizing, and a whole lot of other things. But oversharing is also very much so a thing. Especially, I'm going to say this, and people can feel how they feel about it. But I'm going to say this.
You finna get us marked flag for controversy. Just go ahead and tell me.
I'm going to say this
right now.
Okay. I'm just letting you know, sis. I put the warning out there so you can see where I was going.
Notification, they be like, we had to flag your post, and it's been.
I mean, it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad. But what I'm saying is that nowadays, y'all oversharing too doggone much. And it's not even just like life experiences. This is gonna be your experience, like straight up just oversharing too much with some babies. Like, it ain't even age appropriate. These, like, that's a 10-year-old. They should not know about what they daddy said and did and ain't did, and should nobody know that they boyfriend did this and the bop. Y'all talking too much in front of these kids. They sponges. We are literally sponges. And like, as a child, our parents and the people we are around, because it ain't even got to be parents, aunties, cousins, whomever, literally are our first teachers on how to walk, how to talk, how to behave, what to allow, what not to allow, like everything. And for us, I'm going to include myself so y'all don't think I'm just coming for y'all. As adults, we adults have to understand that we cannot have certain conversations in front of our children because they listening. They always listening. We cannot talk about certain things in front of our children, and we should not definitely be directing certain conversations to our children.
Sometimes they hear, even though when you do try not for them to hear. And that's the part that bothers me more than anything. So I don't think that all parents are having the conversations in front of their kids. I think that parents are just not as good as they think they are of shielding or hiding things from their kids.
I appreciate the ones that try. But so I'm talking about some straight up conversations being had.
Well, we do have some of those. We absolutely do.
I'm talking about those. I appreciate the ones that's trying to go in the back room. Like, can we have a private conversation? And the kids
I feel like even when your kids hear something, it's a teachable moment. I think what's most important is not just, so like, for example, if Robert and I have had a disagreement where the kids have witnessed that disagreement, I need them to see us rectify that disagreement. So we actually sit down with them and be like, okay, y'all saw us have a disagreement, and this is why, how we handled it. This is why we handled it that way. This was something that we both are working on to not handle it this way again. How are you feeling? What did you hear? Do you want to discuss what things you heard? How did they make you feel? Let's talk about them. Let's process this together, because they need to see resolution and conflict resolution as well.
I think that's amazing. I don't have a problem with that at all.
So
because another thing is, is that you want to make sure that your children, that's why I started off by saying it's good to share, but it's not good to overshare. But one thing about something like that in teachable moments, we have to remember as parents, everything is a teachable moment. Like everything should be a conversation because they have no idea. We a lot of the times assume that they have more sense or knowledge base than they have. How they supposed to know if we ain't tell them? Like they don't know. Just assume that kids don't know. Even sometimes at teenager age, like just assume that they don't know and explain it. Now I say that's a good thing, like especially with the scenario that you gave of an argument or a disagreement with the parents, because they need to see realistic relationships and people being human. In life, you're going to have conflict, but they need to see what healthy conflict looks like. They need to see what conflict resolution looks like. And the earlier they see that, understand that, and can comprehend that, the better that they can implement that in their personal lives in general. Because they're going to go to school and get into it with somebody. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have a group project and not work well with a partner. Like, you're going to have these moments even as kids. We can't assume that kids not going to have issues because we've all been there and had issues. So having those type of conversations with your children and allowing them to see certain things, I think it's totally fine if you're talking them through it because they need to know that. That's like when we put our parents on a pedestal because all we saw was perfect mom or perfect dad, right? Some people, all we saw was perfect mom or dad. We like, they are gods because they are. They feed us, they clothe us, for the, you know what I'm saying? Like they gods to us. But if we have some real life conversations, we won't have high expectations of what we're supposed to be because mama low key was human. You know what I'm saying? If we like can't never let them see us sweat, can't never let us see them cry, how do they know that they can sweat and cry and take a breath and say, no, not today? If we don't show them that that's human, that goes back to like the self-care and expectations.
And you have to, in order to do that, even with your kids, you have to be honest with yourself as well. And you have to be processing those things as well. So like we talk to them, but we talk to them also when we have processed. So if they have a question or, you know, a concern about something, I'm able to give them a thorough answer response and not one where I'm still flustered from my emotions maybe or trying to figure out what I'll admit myself. So you do definitely need to see or allow a pathway for kids to see the good and the bad. It is just certain things with care that you have to take. You do have to make sure that you're filtering as best as you can some things. So I definitely understand where you're coming from, sis, with the oversharing. I think that especially when you're talking about like maybe the parents aren't together and you have them bad mouthing each other, you know, and the child is in earshot and they can hear that. That is always never a good thing because it also causes conflict for that kid because a kid naturally wants to love their parents, good, bad, or indifferent. They want to still care for their parents. They want to make sure that they're allowing the space, they're being allowed the space to still love on their parents. And I think sometimes because we may not be healed from whatever interactions we've had with that person, we share that with that child. They're seeing that, and that's not healthy for them. That's making them also feel some sort of way about themselves. And so just going back to the healing as a process, it definitely is important that as people, as adults, as individuals, as Black people, especially because we are notorious for just functioning. We are functioning adults, but not healthy adults. No one told us that there was a such thing. The goal is, I remember hearing this, and I wonder who else heard this growing up. My mother used to always say, my main goal is to make sure that when I'm no longer here, you can take care of yourself and you can survive. And that was it. Like, I need you to survive. I need you to be able to take care of yourself, but not, I need you to be happy. Not, I need you to feel safe. I need you to feel content and successful, whole, you know, not hurting because we've had to just survive for so long. Like that was the goal to survive. I mean, that was a struggle just to make it from day to day. And so in doing that and constantly telling the generations that, like, I don't tell my kids that. I say, I want you to grow up and have healthy adulthood. I want you to grow up and be a positive adult. Like everything won't always be positive. You're going to have struggle. I don't sugarcoat that. I just had a conversation with both kids like, hey, the world can be a really crappy place sometimes. You're going to go through some things. I need you to know you're going to have some experiences that are not going to be enjoyable. But you need to also be able to persevere through that, but not just survive through that. I need you to figure out how to come out on the other side a better person, a healthy person. And this is how you do it. One of the best things I think I gave my kids was therapy. They have their therapy every week and they love it. They look forward to it. Sometimes they have those sessions where we got to process after the session because their therapists, even as little individuals, hold them accountable for stuff and gives them food for thought. And so all of that is helping them to be conditioned to think that way as an adult. And so sometimes after a session, they're crying still and not feeling good. We give it a minute and we talk about it more. Like, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Because it's a process. And I think that people need to understand that you're not just, this isn't a cut. Once you get the scab and the color comes back after the scab falls off, most times if you took care of that scar properly, it heals and people don't even know that you were injured in the first place. When you're healing from emotional, mental, and generational wounds, it's a whole other process. It's a day-to-day. It's every single day is a step forward to do better. And you have to commit to that through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I want people to be aware of that expectation. So, sis, what are you healing from? Because we talked about what I'm healing from. What are you?
Well, do you have a notebook? No, I'm joking.
My handy dandy notebook, girl. Off the subject, girl. That video about the Blues Clues. I was in here crying.
I got my Blues Clues notebook.
The handy dandy orange. The handy look. Is it a crayon? No, you got to get the crayon.
It's a pen. It's an adult version.
Okay. If it's real, you gotta get a crayon.
It ain't real. It's the adult version.
Okay, silver. Okay, I'll let you have it. I'm gonna go ahead.
But it's thick like a crayon.
Okay, I'm gonna let you have it, sis. That's your handy dandy notebook. Go on, draw and tell us what the clues. The clues. What are you healing from?
3 clues. No, for sure. I'm realizing that I am healing from some of the similar things that you are. I think I have a real problem with procrastination, and I think that's deeply rooted in, I think it's a bit of fear in there, because it's some things I'm like, I could easily just sit down and do that. And I talk to myself about it. I'd be like, self, you could just bust the computer open right now and just do that. Why aren't you doing it? Like, sometimes you got to rationalize and think some stuff through, and even after maybe having that conversation, I still won't bust that computer open to do what I need to do. And it's not everything. Some things I'm like, bet, say let's send, blah, blah, blah. And then certain things I falter. And I'm sitting there and I'm waiting and I'm procrastinating. I start doing other things, and I start to analyze it within myself, like, why am I doing that? And then also looking at what are those things that I'm procrastinating with. I know back in college, it was always them long papers. Okay, it was always them long papers.
Oh, but I don't know about you.
That's just because I don't like doing long papers. Woo! But as an adult,
stuff under pressure. But I learned my lesson one time, girl. I stayed up. It was the night before. Paper was bomb, and we had lost the power, and I hadn't saved in a long time. And I didn't realize I hadn't saved in a long time. So this was before now, Microsoft would help you out. Microsoft will help you out now, and auto save a whole lot quicker. Back then when this happened, it was an auto save that came up weeks and weeks later after I had to redo it. I pulled an all-nighter, still managed to get a B+. But girl, after that, I was like, yeah, no more.
Would have been hurt.
Oh, I cried. Best believe.
Baby. I mean, I done stayed up a million nights in the computer lab, press print right before class started, walk straight to class, turn in the paper, then walk back out of class to finally get some sleep. Like, I done did it before.
I cried, okay? I don't think I had like snot bubble still typing, like ready to smash, like Hulk smash the computer. I was livid. I was so mad, but I didn't have nobody to blame but myself, because I was out here living my best life and went to the party all weekend. So we don't procrastinate on papers no more.
No. But like, so I have to start analyzing, and I analyze like when those things are happening and what that could possibly be underneath just base procrastination. Because probably most of the work be like, I'm procrastinating. You know what I'm saying? But it's like when it's not you all the time and it's just certain things, it's like, all right, what is it about these things? And I think it may be a little bit of maybe a self-saboteur, or maybe a fear of the outcome of turning in whatever it is. I'm not quite sure on what those is. So I'm still figuring that out. But I've noticed that that's something that I have to heal and get the but why and dig down deep, because I will not. I refuse, okay, to let that interfere with my success, you know, and it very well can if it goes unchecked. Okay. So I'm checking that. All right. Another thing that I realize I have to heal from is something we talked about earlier, is that self-love piece. I don't do it. Like, I can say I don't do it enough, but I can also just say I don't do it.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I feel like us Black women especially don't really give ourselves that permission. There's always a reason to feel guilty or a deterrent on why we can't give ourselves that self-care, that consistent self-love. We could shell it out to everybody else. Like, at one point, Robert was like, just recently he sat me on the couch because I was like in a space, honey. I was like, I'm tired. I can't even do, we gonna talk tonight. I'm exhausted. I can't even like function properly. He said, I love it that you like helping people, and I know it's important to you. But don't you think that it's a little excessive? Because you can't help yourself, right?
Like, come on, Robert.
I didn't like it at first. I was like, what
you better receive it. You better receive it. Okay.
Is that a problem? No, it's good. But then, I was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's not that you're saying it should be a burden for me to help others. What you're saying is that I don't have enough balance. He said, yes, that. I'm saying that you don't have enough balance. And I'm like,
it's the balance.
You're right. It's the end. Because naturally,
I'm a giver. That's my thing. I am a giver. I will give, help, encourage. But I don't put that same energy in me. Then I can't give that to anybody else, because I'm going to end up depleted, because I didn't gave all the energy I had and I didn't put nothing back in. Especially when you're dealing with people that don't put anything back into you.
Why?
It's the but why. It's the but why. Honestly, I think when it comes to the women that I've seen in my life, I did not see them practice self-care. Growing up, I never seen grandma practice self-care. I mean, she may have been, but I didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what that was until I really became an adult. I just seen them get done.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? My mom, 4 kids by herself. Grandma helped, and different things, but basically 4 kids by herself, working full time with a chronic illness, like just. And never saw a sweat. Never saw a sweat. You know what I'm saying? But I also never saw her do anything for herself for real. I also never seen her really sit down and practice self-care. And so, like, I didn't see it. And I think, honestly, like, because I've evaluated mentally, like, where is this coming from? What does this stem from? And I didn't see it. I didn't know what it was to do it. And that was most of my life. And so now that I'm an adult, and I've got the great parts of them. I got the get it done. I got the make it happen. I got the, positive energy. I got the spirit. I got the love. I got all those great things from them. But I missed the self-care because I didn't see the self-care. And then even like outside of my grandmother and my mother, my sisters, bosses, they get it done. They make it happen. Like Carlisa, baby, like she was mama number 2 to all of us, and she wasn't even the second born. The first born. She was second born, but she wasn't the first born. You know what I'm saying? Like, get it done, make it happen by any means. Help others, love people, blah, blah, blah. Got it. Got all of those amazing things. But I did not see the self-care. And so I didn't realize I was missing it until I was an adult, which means I have all of those years of not caring for myself, not sitting down, not evaluating if this person was worth me giving, not, you know what I'm saying? All of those things. And then as far as reciprocation, they'll let you know real quick that I'm not for none, but I done slipped up a few times. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as people coming with certain energies, and I'd be like, nah, you don't deserve my space, you don't deserve my time. Now, I done slipped up a few times, big slip ups. You know what I'm saying? Major keys were dropped. Okay.
It happens. It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to consistently practice.
And especially when feelings are involved. Because when feelings are not involved on like a romantic level with things like that, real quick, I think we talked about it on the show before. One of my anthems with, ain't nothing to cut that off. Snip, snip. Baby, I'll cut you off so quick, and it will be no love laws. I wouldn't shade you in the street. It's just like, oh, this is not for my betterment or yours. Well, you might be winning because I'm a boss, but other than that, no, I'm good. Have a good one. I'm gonna say hello when I see you. Like, I can cut people off real quick and not feel any kind of way about it and harbor no bad feelings. But when it comes to relationships where romantic things were involved, and then that I had to look at the but why in that too. And I am actively working on my healing in that area, because not only did I not see that self-care from the women in my life, I also did not see them with the best men. My grandfather was amazing. But he died when I was a little girl. You know what I'm saying? My mom didn't really date, you know, and I was baby or little, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't really see that until she got remarried after my father. And my father, I mean, I love him because he's a part of me and I'm a part of him, but that's about the only reasons why. He wasn't there. He's in Chicago, you know, he still, you know, called my other siblings, but he know not to call me. I have nothing to say to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't there. I don't know the man. Like, I know him. He comes around there once in a while, and when he does, he act like we best friends. But I'm like, dude, I ain't seen you in 10 years. What do you mean? What do you mean? Get out of here. Have a good one. So that energy too. He was on drugs. He was cheating on my mom. You know what I'm saying? Just like all of that energy. And so growing up, of course, as a kid, I didn't really know that because, again, my mom's a saint. She still don't talk bad to my dad, you know, or about my dad to us or anything like that. She like that. If we start joking too much, she'd be like, that's your daddy. And I'm like, you right.
She really,
you know what I'm saying? Absolutely, you right. He called her to this day and still be on the phone talking to her. And she just listen. I'd be like, Mom, why you do that? She like, it don't hurt to, you know, just let them talk if they need to talk. She is saint. She really is.
And so, and regardless of all of that, she still loves him and sees his humanity. And I think that that is incredibly beautiful of your mom to be able to do that. And you talking about a healed woman, because if she wasn't healed, she wouldn't be wanting to be bothered.
To do that.
Right. Be able to do that.
She'd be big man still to this day.
Be a testament for, you know, you guys, of what, you know, that it's possible, and that healing is an ongoing process. And that's how you can tell when it's working, because I know we didn't hit that point yet. You know, that's how you know when it's working, is when some
absolutely stuff and I think we were talking about this on the last show with Brother Wayne, and he was saying how, you know, after someone leaves, then, you know, you mad because it's like, you know, they got the guy or the girl or whomever, and you mad. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna be mad. Like, I'm not mad. It's with none of my exes when they found somebody else, because I want you to be happy. Like, just like I hope.
And whoever they got when you left me, it wasn't who I was getting. So what am I holding?
I have zero to be mad about. And I think that's the thing. The only reason why a person would be mad in a situation like that is if they not healed from it. If they still harboring feelings about it. If it's still some deep-rooted things in their spirit, okay? But other than that, I'm like, baby, live your best life. Can I come to the wedding? Or can I help plan it? Can we go dress shopping together? Or you just want the baby up? What do you want? Just let me know, okay? Either way, I'm good. Let me know. So I adore my mother for that, because she's always been a blessed soul. Like, even because, like I said, my dad cheated on my mom. He was cheating when I was born. So like, basically a little while after I was born, my mom left because it was too much. She was like, I choose my children. Because she probably, honestly, for her, she probably would have stayed. That was her high school sweetheart, her husband 4 kids, loving her life. But she looked at what was happening in the road he was going down, and she chose us for real. And so I love her, and I will forever love her for that, because she chose us. Because I don't know what our life would have been if she would have stayed in that situation. And so I am forever indebted to that woman for a lot of things. One, giving birth to me, okay, but 2, deciding to leave my dad. You know what I'm saying? Forever indebted to her. And so there's that. But even like his children, because he had 2 children with the woman he was cheating on my mom with. So he had 2 children, which are my little siblings. Love them. They so cute. They ain't babies or nothing. They all grown now, but they still cute. Okay. And but she had other children, and neither one of them was in the right headspace. They were both doing drugs and all types of other stuff. And so my mom would help them. She was sending the woman stuff like, are they giving away free food over here? Or are they giving away furniture over here? Or, you know what I'm saying? If the other, she was with us and then the other kids came, she would take her older kids too. And like to this day, they still thank my mom. Like, you could have been mean to us. You could have not did anything with us. Cause like, they like, moms was bogus. You know what I'm saying? But, and they cry every time they see my mom, because they was like, you never judged us. You never treated us bad. And like, that's the kind of energy I come from. That's that heart that I have, and I know I wholeheartedly get it from her. But the other part of that is that, okay, yes, you have a giving heart, you have a giving spirit. Yes, you forgive. It's loving, it's beautiful, it's amazing. But we talked about it earlier. It's that balance, though. It's that balance, though. And how much are you pouring into yourself while you're giving to others? And so I know I'm actively healing from not knowing or allowing certain men or relationships to happen in my life. I'm healing from that, because I didn't necessarily see one that was healthy, even with like my oldest siblings. So I never saw one that was really ideal. And so I allow certain people to be in my space for way too long without calling ABS. And I think that goes back to the, I just want to, I can help certain things that's broken, or I can fix certain things, or if I just push them a little bit more, or if I help them or send them these resources or pay for this or do this, but you can't fix nothing that's broken. If it's not for you, it's not for you. And I had to realize that. And I was grown, because look, I'm recently divorced. You know what I'm saying? So I was grown, realizing and still healing from that process of allowing people in my space that did not deserve to be in my space, and then building my toolbox. I'm gonna keep saying that, because that's literally your healing toolbox, or whatever you're building. Put your tools and everything you're gonna need. Your survival kit. You know what I'm saying?
That's what
I'm building my survival kit of understanding my non-negotiables, of understanding what energy I need people to come with and meet me with, and then understanding who I am for real. Because that what was the terminology you used? What you say you was fighting against when you people like, you amazing, you be like, am I low? What was the terminology?
The imposter syndrome.
Because I think I got a bit of that too. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a difference between being humble and just standing in your greatness. And I'm coming into understanding that I just need to stand in my greatness and them 15-inch heels. Okay. Not a 9, not a 10. I need a 15-inch heel. I'm going to stand in that greatness, because I am dope. And I do have to understand what I want from my life and who I need to be in it and where I'm going. So not even just like who I am right now, but what's the end game? And if someone who's trying to be in my space can't meet me at that end game in any way, then what are we doing here? And so like healing through all of those things, from self-care to procrastination, a little self-sabotage, you know what I'm saying? Healing through relationships and my heart being a little too open, and not pouring into myself. I'm healing through all of it.
I think there's a lot of us that are truly, truly healing, especially Black women. Healing through that part, especially the self-care portion. We are notorious for not taking care of ourselves, and then we're mad that others aren't taking care of us. But if we're constantly not showing that we even need it, I had to get to a point of recognizing, like, how do I expect for people to know I'm tired and I just can't if I don't say I'm tired and I can't?
It's that part, sis.
So I'm mad that they don't recognize that I'm hurting and I'm
And I
struggling
ain't
here.
never said I'm hurt.
And I never said a thing, or I just never showed it. The smile all the time, like that. That was definitely something that I'm like being very vocal about now. Like, listen, not today. Like, I can't do this for you. Me getting to a point of using no was difficult because I was the yes woman. Like,
And
Sante,
feeling
I
okay when
need
you
you.
say it.
Look, I need you to do so
Yes.
and so and so. You think you can? Well, actually, I
That's it.
have this to do today. I don't know how, but I really need you to. Okay, then give me a minute, I'll be there. And then I'm cussing and fussing all the way to it because I knew good and well I should have said no. And now
And
I'm
been
mad.
okay with that, no.
And then I'm mad at me because I know better. I know that I didn't have it in me and I didn't have the time to do this. Why the hell did I say no? And now I finally have reached that point where it'd be like, yeah, and I have my moments
Yeah.
still. I still have them still, more so with my mom than anything. So I'm
Some people
still,
gonna have that place on you. You know, that's
I'm still perfecting that not today mama, but I've gotten there too, a whole lot better than I used to be. Cause my mama call me and tell me to do something, be like, I'm not doing that today. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, I'm driving to do this. I told this
told her no.
woman.
I said it out my mouth.
Hey, I told her no, I wasn't. And then next thing you know, I'm doing it. And so I'm starting to get comfortable for my self-care and in my healing journey because that was causing injury to myself. And I wasn't admitting that like, hey, I'm hurting myself at this point because can't
Trying
nobody
to please
move me.
somebody else.
Look, I can't be moved unless I want to be moved. I have to choose to go and do this thing. And I do have a choice. I'm extra grown. I can't help you today. I can't do that today, and that's it. So I think that we struggle with that a lot. I think that, and I was writing a piece about this, especially, is that us as Black women, we wear our strength as like a badge of honor. When really, at times, the way we wear it actually hurts us. It's making things worse for us because we're trying to be so strong all the time and we're so afraid to not be strong. What's going to fall apart if I'm not strong? Today, if I don't step up and do A, B, C, and D, it ain't going to get done. And then what? But I'm learning now in my healing journey to be like, if it ain't going to burn the house down, then that shit can wait.
And then also, if we're doing everything, we don't allow other people the opportunity to step up and do it. Or to realize that if they not gonna do it, I need to find somebody that will step up and do it.
Look,
And that's something that
we're not
I
making them
had to
even realize that they can do it. If you constantly doing it for them, of course they're not like they're gonna rely on you to do it all the time because they didn't have no other option. They didn't have to think about another option. But if you say, look, I'm not doing it, it needs to get done. That's one thing too where I'm healing from. Like, he may not wash them dishes the way I wash them, but they washed and I don't gotta do it. So,
see, it's the expectation again. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day and she was stressing, and it's a lot going on, so understandably. And so we were talking, but she understood why. She was just like, I want everything done the way I want it done. And I have to understand that I can't do that. And I was like, well, at least, there we go. Like, and so she reflected like a Mickey Ficky, but she was like, but of course, we probably all know this. We can identify it. We can put our finger right on that button, but we still can't press it a lot of times. Like, it's harder to do it and change your behavior than to see it or say it. Some people can't even see it or say it. So, okay, let's say that. Please see it and say it, okay? But then also to actually change your behavior. She's like, I want it done the way I want it done. Why can't everything just happen the way I want it? Okay. And then I wouldn't be stressed because everything would be happening the way I want it.
And the only way it's going to happen exactly the way you want it is if you do it. And there's only one me. I just can't do it all.
That's the other part. So now you're doing everything when you can't. We can't and we shouldn't.
That is for the birds. So,
we can't and we should not.
Question for
Yes.
you, sis.
Yes.
What was your idea of healing before you actually started your healing journey? I'm always curious to hear about this because when I've talked to people about getting therapy, the first thing they'll say is that, well, I've done it before and I didn't feel better. And it's like, okay, well, how long did you do it? I went to a few sessions and it was like, okay, this isn't an antibiotic pill. Like, you have a sinus infection, you go get that big old horse pill they give you to get rid of it, and it clear up in a few days. That's not how healing internally works. And
Not
so
at all.
people really do treat the internal healing journey, the emotional and mental wounds that we face every day, like it's a sore, like it's just gonna get better with time, in the now, in the moment, and not over a process of time. So
It's more
what
like a surgery. Like you have the open wound, you got to clean the stitches, you got to put on new gauze every day, you got to put the cream on there so it don't leave a scar. You got to make sure you don't move certain ways no more or you'll rip it. Like it's
I
more
make it a
like
setback. That old folks call it a setback. You don't
right. So you don't have no setbacks. You know what I'm saying? Like that's more of like the therapy journey. Like it's
Mhm.
not like a common cold. Take some what you call it, NyQuil and you good.
Right.
Like it's not that. Drink a little tea, you straight. It's like surgery. You
The
got
sea
open
moss gel,
wounds.
because that's the new. I'm gonna take these sea moss gel pills. I'm gonna
You
be
know what I'm
good.
saying? You know, I got my capsules. You
I
feel me? I
know,
take
but
the
they not healing no
chemos,
internal
but
wounds
they
though.
not healing. No surgery where you just got cut
Right.
open. It's not gonna do it. It'll give you some minerals to help you fight it, so you may not get an infection or keep you energized at least. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
it's not going to change the bandages, clean the wounds, put the oil on there, monitor the way you move, and so you don't open that thing back up. Like that's therapy and that's healing for real.
Mm.
But to answer your question, before I started my healing journey, what did I think healing was? I didn't even think about it.
Mm. That's a word.
I didn't even think
Why
about
not?
it to think it was anything.
And
Like
why did you not think about it? What was it?
it was not on my radar. I was just out here living life. Just living life. Um, it was never something that was actively discussed, like mental health and healing. It was never something that was just there to know. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when we teaching our kids, just assume they don't know. I just did not know. It was not there. Now, the only like things I had related to mental health or therapy or healing in that way was like Chanel, I think, saw a therapist, and when Solomon was born, her son, my nephew, he started going to a therapist. But even then, I just didn't think about it. It still was not really on my radar as a young person, as a teen, as a young adult. I think I really started getting into the concept and thinking deeper on it, maybe college.
Mhm.
For me, college for me, just new experiences, new people, open up your mind, learning new things, different things like that. But it was college for me. So that means all what maybe 20 years of life before that. I was just living life. If things happen, they happen. You know what I'm saying? But blessed so again, growing up with the mother that I have, growing up with the siblings that I have, my grandmother, my family, my circle, my support system has always been amazing though.
Right.
So I've always kind of had the mindset that I have today, even before I knew what healing was or actively thought about healing, based on the people that raised me, based on the people I grew up with in the circle. And don't get me wrong, everybody ain't saints over here. Okay. Don't go to the other side of the family. You feel me? Gets gutter over there. Okay. Everybody got that side of the family. You feel me?
Look, I might be on that side. I don't know.
Don't think it's sunshine and rainbows. You feel me? Just told you about my daddy, okay?
Right.
So like, but blessed just in general for my immediate family and my support system and people that I have around, and just God, creator, source, ancestors, whatever made me who I am today, whatever. It was my decision, God's decision, ancestral line decision, whatever put me in the mindset that I have. I've kind of always had this mindset. I remember like thinking back to when I was a little girl thinking things, and you know what I'm saying? So I've always had this mindset. So one thing I always say I'm grateful for is my mind, the way that I think. I know that's not a dime a dozen. I know that everybody doesn't think the way that I do, you know, and so I am blessed for that. And I will forever be grateful for whatever allowed that to be so. And I'm thanking whoever played a part in it. Okay.
Listen,
You know what I'm saying? So
for my
I'm really
cognitive
grateful,
understandings.
you know, for the understanding, for the thought process, for the critical
Right.
thinking. You feel me? Like I am grateful for whoever put a hand on that. It's a blessing or a breath. You feel me? I'm
I
thankful.
feel
But it was college. So before that, I really wasn't actively thinking about healing or anything else. So once I found that road, that journey, and continued down, because then it wasn't even that deep then. You know what I'm saying? Then it graduated. Then it got deeper. And I'm like, okay. It was really after I graduated college that it started slapping, it started hitting a lot different. And it's still an active learning process for me. But again, I was blessed with the surrounding and the system that I have, like support system and team that I have in my life, the mindset that I have, that once I did learn about it, it was just like, all right, that's common sense. You know, like let's get it, let's do it, let's
the
understand.
common sense ain't really that common all
It
the
ain't that
time.
common though. That's
It's the
what's
thing.
so real about it. That's what's so real
Yeah.
about it. And so I appreciate knowing now though, so that I can make sure again the things that I'm learning now that I'm passing on to not only my son, yes, him, because that's my direct lineage, okay, but also to all the other young people in my life. So nieces, nephews, cousins, and then the children that I teach. I feel like a lot of times I have more of a direct impact on the children that I teach than I do my nieces and nephews sometimes. And I'm blessed to be able to help them think about healing and give them tools for healing and mental health and how to analyze life and critical thinking for my teenagers and my middle schools and even some of the adults that I've taught. I see the process and the amount of time that I have them, and I know that when they leave me, that it may not, you know, stay as consistent or whatever, but I've changed them in a way that they're gonna think about things a little bit differently. And
I
that's
think
that's
that
the real
is a big
blessing.
deal. That's a real big deal. And that's one
Yeah.
of the things that I appreciate about my profession is working in the field that I work in. I'm doing a lot of that breaking of barriers, breaking of stigmas that we have in our communities, which center around counseling and asking for help and accessing resources. There's a lot of us that have resources at our disposal but are so fearful to use them for reasons, that are very justifiable. Like we don't have the best trust in our system with good reason. We absolutely can't.
Come on.
So when you do have someone like me that looks like you, that's like, yeah, you can't trust the system necessarily, but you can trust me. And I'm going to do my best to get you those resources and get the help that you need. And then I'm
And
going to
advocate for
contact you
you.
and advocate for you and then connect you with other people that are going to do the same and that it's out there. But because one of the stigmas that we have and one of the generational things that we have to get around is not asking for help. Like we don't do it. So bigger than counseling, we just don't ask for any kind of, even if it's not going to a therapist, just, if you're
Help.
hungry, if you're struggling with something, just help. We
And that's
suffer
a
so much in
generational curse
silence.
for sure. Because it's
Absolutely.
always, you better not say nothing. We don't need no
What
help.
happens in this house stays in this
Or
house.
don't you accept that, or don't act like you ain't ate when you get
Look,
over. Like it's all of those micro things,
right.
and straight up, some people just telling you we don't need no help, don't accept that. No, we don't need no charity. You know what I'm saying? And so that gets passed down through generations. So now we like, no, I don't need no charity, or I ain't this or that. And you think you gotta be dead broke, homeless in the street before you can ask for help. Like if you need help, get help. And then going back
It
to the
doesn't
black
even have
woman
to
thing,
get that way though if you
it's
would
the
just
way.
reach out. If you would just reach out and not even let it get to that circumstance
Right.
where it's that grave. I think sometimes we let it get too grave where it's like it's beyond repair sometimes, where we can't give you the support where it would really help you in the way it would have if you have had that early intervention, which is super
Mhm.
important. And I tell people that all the time. Early intervention is everything. Like when my son first started going to school and they were like, he may need some help with reading or speech. I didn't get mad. I didn't get
What
too
you
proud.
mean, my little money help?
I
Help,
said,
all right, cool. What we
well,
doing?
what can we do? What do I need to
Right.
sign? When does this intervention start? Like, I don't care. I was the parent and still am the parent. They call and say, hey, Kyron needs so and so. Okay, well, let's get that moving then. If he needs so and so, let's get it moving.
Because
And
the
we
thing
need to
is
do
we got to move the pride and the ego out of the way and think about the greater good. What's the greater good? The outcome of this thing. We got to think about, but what's gonna happen? Like,
that.
all right, I could be mad that they said my son needs this, and then he don't know how to read 3 years from now. Or we can go to these after school classes real quick for about an hour, and then he be good and on track. Like, what's gonna happen based on my reaction? And that's a critical thinking, but also an emotional, social emotional learning. You feel me? That we have to teach from an early age, or we be adults and elders that just be acting off emotion that logically doesn't make sense for the outcome that we want
At all. At all. And who are we hindering when we do that? Who's really going to be the person that's going to bear the brunt of that? Because it's our pride involved.
that part.
I look, yes, pride is important, and I know for a long time that was all we had. We didn't get to
Yeah,
have a lot of luxuries, and we didn't get to have certain things. So pride was everything. But pride is what's killing us. And we absolutely have to figure it out so that we can still have pride in ourselves. There's no shame in help. There's no shame in community. There's no shame in support. There's no shame in these things. It's really just what we've been told. We've been programmed to feel like we're supposed to be shameful, and it's killing us. We are not
literally,
surviving it. We
literally.
absolutely need to let it go. So, I know I said I was gonna make this a short show this evening, so we gonna go on ahead and wrap it up, sis. I see that we had some people hanging in there with us today. Thank y'all for joining us. We will be back real soon. Our regular, 2-hour shows. Your girl got a whole lot of moving parts happening currently
Good
in life.
things, good
Yes,
things.
the things is in the works. So I'm definitely trying to have that balance because dude I live with was like, yeah, you're doing the most.
Dude. Every
Dude,
time you call him dude, I just bust out laughing.
he's like, you doing the whole most, baby. You just, yeah. So you're tired. You think,
You don't say.
you're right. I be having to
That
listen.
healing and self-care.
Healing and self care, honey. Healing and self care.
Okay,
So to
okay.
wrap this up, what's your closing thoughts, sis, on realistic expectations of the healing process? Because it is a process. It happens every single day. You see, he got the little sad
I
face,
see.
you know. Sad face in there. So what are your closing thoughts on healing is a process? What do people need to take away?
So one is the first step is knowing that you got to take the first step.
Mm.
Like the first step is knowing to take the first step. Analyze and identify what's going on in your life, because we have to take our power back. And healing is actively saying, I'm going to take my power back. I'm not going to just let and allow things to happen to me. I am going to analyze, I am going to reflect, and I am going to choose how I let these things affect me and how I let that affect my life and my decisions. So a lot of people think therapy is weak, or it means your mental stability or whatever. That's not the truth. Release and let go of all of those stigmas. It's a strength in saying, I see that there's a problem here. I'm going to analyze it. I am going to work through it, and I am going to heal from it. And I'm going to make sure that I dictate my life, my emotions, how I feel, and what I want to do, and where I want to go, and who I want to be. Because inevitably, you working on your healing is deciding who you want to be and what kind of person you want to be. But the first step is to know that you need to take that step. even if you think about it or ponder and start reflecting on your own, it's only so much that you know. It's only so much that you can do on your own. And sometimes it's only so much that you are going to allow yourself to go where a therapist may be able to guide you through and past that limit. So you got to take that first step. And I know we talked on the last show, me and Sante. I was like, I know, y'all probably don't understand, but I've never been to a therapist. Like, it probably don't make no sense to you, okay? But you know, we talked about it. Sante and I have talked about it, and we actively seeking and searching, okay?
All right.
Actively seeking and searching. So I would say know that your healing journey is just that. It's a journey. It's not a race to a final destination. It is a journey. Going back to the analogy I used earlier, it's not pop some Tylenol, take some NyQuil, get some good rest and some tea, and think it's going to be over with. It's literally like a surgery. You have to move differently. You have to clean your wounds. You got to address it's certain things, steps, and processes you're going to have to take. And each day it'll get a little bit better, a little bit easier. Sometimes it's going to feel like it get worse. But trust me, you're going to get through it, and your wounds are going to heal, and you're going to move differently because of it. It's not going to hurt as much. It's, you know, you're not going to see the scar as clearly anymore as life goes on. So those are my notes for healing in the healing journey. Take the first steps, be reflective of yourself. Know that it's going to sometimes get worse before it gets better, but you have to take that process and that journey because it's not a final destination. It's exactly that, a journey.
Facts, yes, sis. I wanted to address two of the comments here, which is very important before I give my closing thoughts. And yes, therapy only works if A, you are open minded and you are ready to receive it, because
Yes.
it is all about reception. It's not necessarily about um, the therapist. You can have the bomb therapist. But if you're not in the space to receive and you're not in the space to want to be better and to heal and to do the work, because that's what healing is, it's work. It takes lots and lots of effort. It's not going to work for you. So it definitely has to be something that you're ready to receive. You
Mm-hmm.
also need to know who you asking for help from. So yes, know your therapist. When I'm looking for a therapist, I am Googling, I am looking up reviews, I am looking up their bios on LinkedIn, I am looking up everything.
Researching like you finna get
Look,
that new cell phone, computer,
listen,
or whatever else.
because
You
you
finna
are
invest in it.
essentially also interviewing your therapist. You need to make sure, as with any village, it's strong, because you're only as strong as your village. So if your therapist is not strong enough to withstand and to support you the way you need, and you can't find that connection, then it's doomed, and you need to find one that you can. So you absolutely need to find the therapist that you connect to and that understands your goals, which is what, my cousin here was saying about, that honestly cares about you. It's more than just caring about you, it's them caring about the work that they do, because some therapists like to do it for the money. It's all about the green dollar, but if they're doing the work because they're passionate about the healing journey, they're going to approach it from that space. And so you want to make sure that they're in it for the right reasons outside of just the monetary value. Like, it's super important. And therapists hold you accountable. I think that a lot of people don't understand that. They expect for your therapist to be a yes man. But if you're going into therapy and expecting for your therapist to tell you all the things you want to hear, then you have no business at therapy,
Turn it
and
around.
you are not ready to receive. You did not go to
Reevaluate.
therapy to receive. You went to therapy for validation, which happens in therapy. Sometimes you go and you may feel like, I'm not sure if I am thinking of this correctly, if it's being influenced by yada, yada, yada. But can you help me work through this so that I can understand it myself? Like, I need some support while I figure this out and I work through it. So you can get some validation from therapy. Sometimes it ain't in your head and you need a therapist to say, well, let's explore. Why do you think it's in your head? And let's look at the reality of it. So what do you think now? Like, hey, you know what? It really isn't just in my head. This is actually what's happening. But a real good therapist is going to hold you accountable. They're going to hold you accountable to your healing journey, because you're wasting their time if you're not really trying to have the healing journey. There's somebody that could take that space and utilize it to get to the place that they need to get to. And if you're standing in that spot because you're not willing to do the real authentic work, you're wasting that spot. You're wasting that time for that therapist to do the work they feel passionate about. So it absolutely positively should be holding you accountable. You should be reflective. You should be really trying to be the best version of you possibly can be. And that takes reflection and accountability. So you want to make sure you're looking into all of that and just doing your research on your therapist. And so for my closing thoughts on healing as a process, healing is ugly. I don't know who told you it wasn't. I know that when I do have a real bad injury on the skin, I hate when that scab fall off. The way that skin look when the scab comes off, it's ugly. It's hideous, okay? Healing can be downright ugly. But that isn't the beauty and why you do it. It's to get to the other side. It's to get to the point that you start to learn how to cope with your wounds. You start to learn how to make better decisions. You start to learn how not to make the same bad choices. You have to learn how to rethink, reimagine what you've been taught, and to unlearn stuff that you shouldn't have been taught in the first place. And that is the part about therapy that matters, because that's how we change the generations to come. That's how we make it different. You absolutely should not go in expecting for it to be sunshine and rainbows and ice cream and soda pop and whatever it is that you enjoy, your comfort food, macaroni and cheese. No, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that. It's going to be real ugly sometimes. But then you're going to get to a place where you're going to realize, I'm doing better now. I'm not picking the same people that I used to pick to be in my village. I'm not allowing people to hurt me the same way that they used to. I'm not saying yes when I really don't have the capacity to. I'm saying no because it's what's best for me. You start to realize, hey, I don't do no damn self-care. I don't take care of me. I take care of everybody else real well, but I don't take care of me. And that is what the healing journey is about. That's what the healing process is about. Every day is going to be a new struggle, a new battle, a new self-check, a new reflection. I don't know about y'all, but when I'm learning to unlearn a behavior I've been accustomed to doing to be better, I have to catch myself sometimes and be like, now, Sante, we said we was going to do better. This is not this. Okay, let me rethink this. Let me take a minute before I react. Those are all parts of the healing journey, the healing process. It is a day-to-day. It's not going to be overnight, and it's going to take commitment. Commit to yourself if you can't commit to no one else. You got to be able to commit to your healing journey and getting to your best you. So just know what to expect on that healing journey. And I want to see y'all healing. That's what this show is all about, because our generations depend on it. Our children's children deserve to be healthier. And that's what we're working on. So we'll be back next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Be a lighter show, but we're going to talk about elders need to respect me too. Because see, this is a real big thing. See, elders be like, hey now. I get to say and do whatever I want to you because I'm your elder. Like, I want to respect you as an elder, yes, but respect me too. And so we're going to talk about elders should respect us too. They got to give it. Meet me with that same energy, elder.
That same energy.
Same energy, elder. We ain't finna do this. Like, you
might know a little more, but I know a little something different. Okay.
Listen, because they get a little beside themselves sometimes, and we be like, now I'm grown now. I'm trying to respect my elder and not go in, but you can't talk to me any kind of way.
Some elders be like, listen here, you spring chicken.
And I could deal with that. I could deal with the spring chicken, but it's, some elders take it real far. Like, I've had some encounters before where it's just been like, and I'm very respectful of elders. I'm like but I done had some elders that
jumped out their bodies. Did they jump? Michael Jordan to the dunk jump?
And feel like they can drag you through the mud, step on you, belittle you, kick you around, and it's their rite of passage. It's like, no, it's not.
But you know what that is? Do you know what that is, sis?
What is that?
They ain't started their healing journey. Okay. It goes together. If they were on that healing path, okay, they would know that they can't treat folks that way, no matter what age. Okay.
Yes.
And you ain't never too old to heal. Okay.
Never. It's always a good time to get your healing on, get your healing done. So
today will always be a good day.
Look, and I don't want no elders coming out here coming for me either, because I'm just gonna say, yes, my girl Anika's like, it's extended adultism, yes, to keep you in your place. And my place is I'm a whole grown individual.
Paying bills, raising kids, living lives, taking care of households, okay?
So we gonna talk next week about elders got to give their respect to. Keep that same respect energy, elders. Keep the same energy going. So this is going to be an interesting topic. I will be putting out the new schedule very soon for the next few episodes. Thank y'all for joining us tonight. Y'all get to go to bed early because we be on here late sometimes. Boy, it be like Wednesday night. Look, people be like, I know I got to get up for work.
Got the internet going up.
I'm people
on a Wednesday.
Facts. We love y'all. We will see y'all next Wednesday, 8 p.m. live. Y'all stay safe out there. Good night.